It's Niki Shelton with Keeping It Real, and I'm with Kerri Selby with Fairway Mortgage. Kerri, how are you doing today?
I'm doing real good. How are you?
I am so good. It's been a great week. So yes, very happy. I've got a buyer who's going to be supposed to be closing this week, so I'm like happy for him. He's finally got a house, and it's a good week.
That is awesome. Yep, I've had a couple deals starting to get a little busier, so it's nice.
Yeah, it
We're
is.
closing one deal 6 days early, and hopefully the other one is going to also close about a week early.
Nice, very cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk today about assuming loans because let's actually, before we jump into that, let's go ahead. I've got we talked about July, or last week. I've got a really quick number for what August looked like for us. So let me see if I can do this here. I got to put my glasses on. There's no way. I think it's this one right there. Okay. I think we got it. Oh, wrong one. Nope, not that one. Hold on. I have too many slides, Jade. There we go. Now we can do it. This is the newest update from the Northwest MLS for August and what happened in August. Okay, I know that was fast, but that was just an entire Northwest MLS. But I mean, I don't know how much you got out of that, but some of the things that I noticed is that the active listings were way down. I mean, we're like at oops, what happened? Sorry about that. Oh, never mind. This is playing something else here. I'm hearing talking my side. Sorry. Um, anyway, hit a button. Anyway, but total active list. I'm looking at Kitsap now, and the total active listings in Kitsap was down almost 18% last month. And I mean, the sellers just are not selling. I mean, there's a lot of reasons, and part of it's what we're going to be talking about a little bit today. Pending sales were down 22% from last month. Closed sales were down almost 24%. So, things are just not. I mean, there's just not a lot of happening out there. But the interesting thing is that the home prices did go up about 2% in our county last month. So we're seeing higher prices, and I want to talk about that really quickly too, because there's still, a lot of it's the like the median price range that the most people can afford and stuff like that. It's kind of the average of whatever the house price is, the median. And I mean, that's kind of the ones where everybody's trying to get in. And if it's priced correctly, you're getting multiple offers. I mean, people are buying. I mean, that's where they're doing. A lot of the higher end homes, when they're not priced correctly, are sitting on the market for a long period of time because there's less people that are going to come into them. And if they're overpriced, they're just going to sit there because people are looking and knowing that. So it's really, really super important to make sure that your home is priced correctly during this time if you're going to sell it. And, right now with the buyers, I know they've been getting frustrated trying to find homes and stuff like that because there's just not a whole lot out there. There's only like 1.61 months of homes on the market right now. So if we were to let them go, they'd be sold out within 1.61 months. So anyway, it's kind of crazy. So, but there's a reason why the sellers aren't selling, because where are they going to go? there's not there's
Exactly.
not
And so many are
prices.
locked in at
Mortgage
that
rates
lower
went up.
interest rate. Yeah.
Right, the mortgage rates are up. That's what they're up against. The mortgage rates are up, and they're probably in a 2 or 3, 4% mortgage rate at the current time, and going from that to a 7% is very daunting, and a lot of people sellers don't want to do that. And plus, the prices are going up in the houses, so they're up against that. So a lot of people are just sitting still. But there are some things that if you have to sell your home, you can, there's times where you just don't have a choice, and there's some things that you can do to entice the buyers. And there's some of the things that the buyers can do to help themselves out too. And that's where I'm going to turn it over to Kerri today.
Yes,
So,
because this is a pretty hot topic and not everybody understands. what a loan assumption is. So we're going to really get down into some of the facts about VA, FHA, and also USDA loan assumptions. And I'm going to ask you to control it because I'm on my phone today, if you don't mind,
No, go
Nikki.
ahead. Go ahead. I'm
So
gonna make it
what
bigger so
is
I
a
can see.
loan assumption? How does it work? Well, there are three different loan types, like I just mentioned, that this could work on: VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They're all government-backed loans, and they carry a standard qualifying assumption clause, meaning you can assume the rate and term of the existing mortgage. So for people, I'm going to just use my house as an example. We refinanced during the refinance boom a couple of years ago, and we were able to get a 2.5% rate. Um, I don't really want to sell my house, but if we were to sell our house, I could list our house on the MLS with that assumable option. So if we move on to the next slide, I'm just going to break down a little bit about the loan type and what they are. So VA loans are available to active duty service members and also those that have separated from service. And what people don't understand is if you're only in for a year or two, you're not going to be able to get your certificate of eligibility yet. You have to have at least 3 consecutive years of active duty service in order to qualify for a VA loan.
Okay, so 3
And
years. If
then,
you're in the
yeah,
military, it's important to know that you have to have 3 years to be able to do that. Okay.
it doesn't come automatically. Once you graduate from boot camp, you don't have that eligibility right away. Yep. So
Okay.
FHA and USDA loans are also used mostly by first-time homebuyers because they have much better terms. USDA is 0 down, FHA is just 3.5% down. But with a USDA loan, it's limited to certain rural areas. And you can look that up on a county map, but it's not if you were trying to move to a populated area, you're not going to be able to find a USDA home.
Right. So for instance, like a lot of the times, I mean, Kitsap, I mean, there's a lot of the county ones that are available. I mean, if you're not like directly in like Bremerton, for instance, but you're in the county outside, some of those areas are covered, I believe, if I remember correctly. It's
Mhm.
kind of hit and miss, and it just depends on what the population kind of the density of that population is, if that's right, right?
That is 100% correct. Yes. And it's usually there's just little pockets within Kitsap County, and they are kind of dwindling because there's more
Yeah.
population.
Right. We're
So,
growing like crazy. So, yep.
what are some of the pros and cons about being able to get an assumable loan? Well, I'm gonna have to put my glasses on because this is really small. Um, so with current interest rates, it's really a great option to assume a current rate on a mortgage home. Like I said, mine is at 2.5%. My mortgage payment is just over $2,000. Not many people have that mortgage payment anymore.
Yeah, no, it's a
Also,
good price, right?
yeah, yeah. There's lower closing costs with this type of loan as well, because you're not having to go through the same steps as you would for a normal loan. And because you're not borrowing the entire amount, no appraisal is going to be required.
Okay.
So some of the cons, if you are selling a VA assumable home and a non-veteran wants to buy it, which they actually can, your entitlement stays tied to that home. So that could be a bad thing, especially if you're trying to buy another home. It doesn't free up all of your entitlement, so you're going to have to come in with some money down for your next home purchase. But also,
Mhm.
if there's any default on the loan, you are ultimately responsible for that. Um, Another con is the fact that the buyer is responsible for the gap in what the mortgage balance is and what the value of the home is. So reflecting back on my home, our current mortgage balance is about 360,000, but our value of our home is almost 600,000. So you have to come in with the difference between the payoff and what the home is valued at, which not everybody has that amount of money to come in with.
So
It's a
I'm
great
gonna dumb that down
product.
if that's okay, right? Because that's, I mean, that's what
Hmm.
I asked you. I said, so, I mean, I go, if you were assuming a loan, I mean, I mean, it's like you sound like you just come in and you take it, but I was like, but there, I mean, if you buy the house more than what the person paid for or something, that could be pretty significant. With the prices going up, it still can be. So, I mean, if you have cash sitting in the bank and you're maybe looking to invest or to do something like that, it could actually be a really good thing though, to the, I mean,
It could. Well, you're
because
just
it's
talking
going to
about
be a lot
people
lower
sitting in
rent.
their homes. Yeah. You're talking about people that are just sitting in their homes because they have the lower interest rate. Well, if you have a home that you've lived in for a long time and you have the equity and you find an assumable loan at a 2.5% and you have, $200,000 to work with, it's perfect. It's the best scenario for someone like that, that is looking to move, that needs to move maybe, so they could perhaps look for an assumable loan at that point.
Okay.
Another thing is that the seller can be responsible for any defect on the home. Like if anybody defaults, it could come back to the seller. So
Interesting.
that's a
Okay.
really big con.
Yeah, no, I mean that would be kind of scary. I mean, right?
Oh my goodness, yes. Yes.
Okay. And did they there was I thought there was something too about you had to for fixing it or something, no? I'll have to go see what I had. There was one thing I was going to ask you about too, but anyway, continue. I'll figure out what it is.
Um, so one thing that a lot of people don't know about an assumable loan is you can't just go to any lender and have this transaction done. It's actually the current servicer who handles the transaction. And it's a long process. It can take up to 120 days for this process to take place. And it's not a guarantee that it's going to happen either. So there are some risks with it.
Okay.
But the good thing is, if you
Takes a little
are
longer.
what's that?
It takes a little longer?
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay. All right. And then do you have to do something? I mean, who would you contact to if it is something that isn't, I mean, if you're going to do that, who would you contact? Their provider? Is that right?
So it depends on if you're the buyer or the seller. So this is the next slide just kind of talks about how if you are an owner of an assumable loan, and you want to offer that option, it's best to call the servicer ahead of time and ask for an assumption packet, and they will send it out to you. And so you'll be ready. They'll have you fill out a bunch of paperwork and you can have it online with them. And that way it'll help expedite the process. They'll know that it's coming, which is a good thing. And so if you are a seller and that's how you want to proceed, that's the best way to start proceeding. And I actually learned this from, I had a client that wanted to sell their home and they had a VA loan. So I actually contacted the servicer and got the information straight from the horse's mouth. So it is the research that I've done on that. Um,
Perfect.
yeah. And so as a buyer, and if you are a listing agent, I would recommend putting it on the listing so that the
Absolutely.
information is out there and people know that it's available for that loan. And as a buyer, you're just going to be looking at that and make sure that you're financially prepared. Because, I was trying to search for companies that would do a loan for the gap, and I was not able to find one. So you'd have to definitely have the funds, or maybe have somebody with gift funds that could help you.
Okay. I do have a question though. Me, and I don't know if you know the answer to this one because, like I said, it's just kind. I mean, it's not something you do. I know every day, but it's something that you come across and that we definitely have some information about. But what about like estates? Like when somebody passes away, are they able to, even if can the executor of the state, can they offer that as an option to if there's still a like a smaller balance or something like that? Could they like to like a sibling or something, for instance, or like an heir? Okay, let me try again. could they offer like if there was an estate and let's say one of the heirs wanted to buy the property and there was still a balance on that, could they assume that loan and then bring in the extra cash with an estate sale? Do you know that or not?
It's all I don't think it matters relationship wise.
Okay.
Um, it just would have to be either a VA, a USDA, or an FHA loan that could be assumed. But I'm also not sure how that transfers after death. It would probably have to be in trust documentation, how the sale of the home would proceed, and definitely something that would have to be worked out with the servicer. So that is a good question and not one I have a 100% answer for.
Okay, just curious, just because, like I said, we kind of were talking about that a couple of weeks ago, and I just thought, I mean, that might be an option for somebody, to maybe get a little bit lower rate, but they still obviously have to bring some money into it. So, okay,
I think
great.
in a case like that, it would be good to look at the fact that, you're going to have to buy out your counterparts, if there are other people involved in the transaction. And part of the equity could be used as the down payment and the closing costs. And that way you could split things up between the siblings and then be able to take out the loan for the rest in order for everybody to get their portion of the equity.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So next week we're going to have some fun too. We're going to actually kind of switch things up a little bit, and we're going to talk about things that a homeowner can do to keep up their homes before the winter hits, right? Because I know it's like it starts. I'm walking outside in the mornings and it's getting chilly, and I'm like, I can tell fall's coming, and I know winter's right behind it. So I was thinking, I need to make a big long list of all the things that I need to get accomplished. And I thought, you know what, who better to come out and talk to us than a home inspector, because they know the stuff that you need to do.
Perfect.
So we're
Yes,
gonna
winterize
have
that house.
yes, we're gonna have Brian Zionsky. I hope Zianskowski. Let's try again. Zianskowski. Brian Zianskowski. That's a hard one
That's a
for me.
mouthful.
He is with Home Trooper Inspection Services. He's volunteered to come out next week to help us out and to do a little talk on the things that we can do as homeowners to get ready for this fall and winter. So anyway, thank you for joining us. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and that follow button. And we'd love to hear any comments. And also, if you have any suggestions on anything you would like to see, send those our way as well.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.